The storyline reveals that Earth's black hole is a gate connected to another dimension. This gate appears in various places in the sky, above water and above ground. From within the black hole, various types of life and monsters known as invaders appear. They start to destroy civilization and exterminate humans. But just as Earth is on the brink of collapse, a special species appears, mutants. These mutants consist of 4 types: metahumans, who can use telekinetic abilities and many other powers; immortals, who will not die even if their limbs or internal organs are torn off; shapeshifters, who have strong physiques and can transform into various forms like werewolves; and mages, who can use various kinds of special abilities commonly referred to as magic. Thanks to these mutants who fought tooth and nail to protect Earth, the black holes are driven out and the world returns to being safe and peaceful. People start calling this hellish year the Trouble Year or Dreadful Years. After all that has happened, people's attention turns to the mutants. They are considered dangerous creatures and no different from monsters. As a result, there is a separation between mutants and humans for the sake of security. Through this process, immortals become part of the government and work for their country. Shapeshifters forge relationships with companies from around the world. Humans create their organization called psionic. The mages are unknown and it is suspected that they have hidden themselves with magic. As time goes by, mutants continue to hide their identities while living side by side with humans. The story begins 20 years later in a supermarket where our main character is shopping with his father. Suddenly his father tells him something surprising: he is an immortal. At that time, our main character named Guangin is silent and then screams until the sound echoes throughout the supermarket. His father explains that he is an immortal and the blood of an immortal should also flow to his son. He tells Guangin to keep it a secret, even from his mother, because she does not know anything about this. Guangin denies it because the characteristics of an immortal are having a beautiful face, white skin, and youth, unlike him. But even so, his father still says that he is an immortal and will soon awaken when he turns 20 years old. At that time, his father tells Guangin that he has to keep his identity secret because he is afraid that he will be divorced if his identity is found out. Once outside, Guangin and his father pick up all their groceries. His father praises his strength because immortals are born with a weak physique even though they are very hard to die. Guangin laughed as if he was hiding some fact from his father. It wasn't until he got home that he kept thinking about another secret that he had kept for a long time. Maybe only he and his mother knew about it. This was indeed a little strange because this secret was related to his mother. The secret was that his mother was a shapeshifter. 2 years ago, Guangin was told by his mother that he also carried shapeshifter blood from her. Of course, at that time Guangin became confused knowing that one night he would wake up soon. At that time, his mother also issued the same words as his father, to keep her secret that she was a mutant or shapeshifter. Back to the present, Guangin is spending some special time with his family. But Guangin found it odd why his father, who was an immortal, and his mother, who was a shapeshifter, hid their true identities. Not long after, that night came. At that time, Guangin was waiting for his awakening time in his room. But while waiting, he remembered his conversation with his father about the pain that would be felt during the awakening process. But there was something that made him even more confused, whether it was possible if he could be resurrected to become an immortal even though he was already a shapeshifter. But because he was too dizzy to think about it, he ignored it and intended to just sleep. But the thing that he had doubts about suddenly happened that night. At that time, he felt intense pain all over his body. It was as if all the blood in his body had boiled. All the pain kept growing until it reached his brain. The pain grew stronger until it reached his bones. Guangin's body gradually transformed into a form more suitable for an immortal. That night, he recalled an incident that happened 2 years ago when he had completed his awakening as a shapeshifter. At that time, he felt very happy because only by awakening could he get a very good body. But at that time, his mother suddenly came into his room, which caused him to be shocked. At that time, his mother was worried that something had happened to him during the awakening, so that's why she came into the room. But it turns out that he was fine, so there was nothing for his mother to worry about. His mother also asked about his current self. Guangin explained that his sense of smell and hearing had become more sensitive. But at that time, he intended to ask his mother something about all the pain he had experienced during the awakening. He asked why he wasn't told that when he awakens, he would feel excruciating pain. Suddenly, his mother replied that it was the same even if she told him or not. But at that time, his mother told him that there was no such thing as a second or third form of awakening, so he could rest easy now. After hearing this, Guangin was immediately relieved because he didn't want to experience that pain again. But sadly, he's experiencing the pain again years after it first happened. End speech. A few hours later, morning comes and then shows Guangin, who is trying to see if he still feels pain or not. He still feels pain even though he has become an immortal. But he has another ability, seeing in the dark with increased senses, especially his very sensitive hearing. At that time, he also applied the shapeshifter control method to control his sensitive senses so that they returned to normal. After he finished controlling his senses, Guangin hesitated whether he could hide this secret well or not. The story continues in the family dining room where Guangin immediately joins breakfast with his parents. Sometime later, his father tells Guangin to prepare himself so he can take the civil service exam. Of course, this surprises Guangin and his mother. His mother then tells his father that Guangin's age is now right for college, so he's better off going to college. But his father says that college isn't important and won't make people successful in the end. At that time, Guangin felt strange because it was rare for his parents to have different opinions. After all, they had always gotten along well and were in harmony. On the other hand, Guangin thinks that immortals usually get government-related jobs, so he was sure that his father wanted him to get an important position there. But there is a possibility that his mother also has a different plan. He also remembers what his mother told him before. His mother explains that shapeshifters have 3 times more power than ordinary humans. But there is one thing that is special about shapeshifters: their very strong instincts. Indeed, right now Guangin still can't feel it, but surely someday out there he can rely on that power to get him out of the way. Therefore, his mother wanted him to go to college and after that work at a company so he could train his instincts. His mother also said that he didn't have to worry about costs because his grandfather had connections with one of the companies so he could get in there very easily. After thinking about this for a while, Guangin then realized because his parents asked him, they both asked if he wanted to choose to become a civil servant or if he wanted to be something else. Of course, Guangin thought about it and decided to choose his path in life. After thinking about it, Guangin said that he wanted to become a soldier. Both of his parents were very surprised by Guangin's answer. When she heard that, her mother said that she was joking now, but Guangin says he's grown up so he can take care of himself. But instead of listening to that, his mother asked him to think about it carefully first. On the other hand, his father tells Guangin that being a soldier is also quite good. He explains that the military is good because he will get a good life after the assignment and training because, after all, in the future he will have to deal with the military. At that time, Guangin only listened to his father who could immediately conquer his mother very easily. After discussing it, they came to a final decision to allow Guangin's choice. His father had suggested it because if he could pass the test, he would be able to delay joining the military and also be able to freely enter the defense industry. Because all of his father's suggestions are very logical and according to his thoughts, Guangin agrees to take the civil service exam. The story continues with Guangin who has gone to get tutoring. But he felt curious about that person's prowess that he had to go so far. Here we finally know that Guangin's real goal is not to become a soldier but something related to the white hole. It's the same as a black hole. A white hole is a gate, but it's different. A black hole is a place where something comes out or something can enter. In other words, humans can go to different dimensions to look for new materials such as new metals or elements, new plants that might be used, and of course new types of animals. Guangin realizes that now black holes are a thing of the past but humans are still greedy and want to find new resources. And those who are usually sent to serve there are shapeshifters because their physical and fighting abilities are very reliable. And that was also the reason why his mother forbade him to get involved with the military world. But even so, he still wanted to do it but in a better way. The scene then switches to someone who is on the phone with Guangin's father. It turned out that this person was the teacher his father met. At that time, this person told Guangin's father that even if what was sent now was his son, he would not intend to be gentle even once because he would bring up the child very well without missing a thing. The story continues and shows Guangin who feels strange because when he gets there, his teacher greets him immediately asking about what kind of mutant Guangin is. He felt very strange because an immortal shouldn't be as muscular as him. At that time, the teacher was curious why this could happen to Guangin who is an immortal. Guangin suddenly replies that it might have happened because he is of mixed blood. After hearing the answer, the teacher started to get a little interested in him and then immediately took him to where they would study later. After following his father's words regarding the civil service exam, his father told him to get lessons from an acquaintance who lived in the middle of the forest around Wisong Yangyi province. And the man now in front of him was an acquaintance of his father's, or you could say his teacher. It didn't take long for them to arrive at their destination. But suddenly, Guangin was surprised to see a house that had a lot of knives facing up and wood that had been split into pieces. At that time, because he didn't know what to do, Guangin had to follow his teacher to that place. We end the story here because then Guangin's first training as a mixed mutant has begun. We are waiting for the hard training in the next part.